Ahoy there, me hearties. This be Captain Silverhook, and you're listening to the Two Old Pirates podcast. Set sail for an open sea of stories, tales, and some really crazy stuff. I expect you to like and subscribe, lest you be walking the plank. Ha ha ha!
Hey, welcome to podcast episode 112 of the
Two Old Pirates.
And we're back with Vinny.
Oh, yeah.
And Vinny was just telling me he did his whole background here. So if you looked at any of our older videos and you saw different things back there, maybe there's some Easter eggs for free money.
Yep.
That Vinny has said he will gladly put up for everybody to have. But one thing that I told Vinny was that I had noticed that we have not done a true story about, and I used to do them all the time, since episode 48. And this is episode 112.
60 episodes.
Yeah, so it's a long time since we've done one. So I said that I wanted to do one. And Vinny came up with all these different things that he had done that he had seen and experienced in his life. He said, why don't we do a twofer? I said, all right, that's fine with me and stuff. So we're going to go ahead and give you two short, true stories from our history. The true story that I want to tell you is about the stabbed woman on our front porch.
Like a ghost? Like the stabbed woman?
Okay, so as you've heard many, many times before on this podcast, I grew up at a place that is affectionately known as the Mexican Park. It's in South Rockport. There's a little bitty park there, and the houses that surrounded it, all the comings and goings that happened. So what happened was there was I considered her older, but now that I look back, she's probably middle-aged. She's probably in her 40s or something like that.
Comparatively, compared to you back then, she was old.
So we moved into this neighborhood, and we were the only white folks, and it was 100% Hispanic other than Lillian. And Lillian was an older black woman who lived across the street. So if we came out of our house onto the walkway, you'd look straight across, and then there'd be the park, and then her house facing us. So she was probably about 70 yards away or something like that. And we just moved there. We'd only lived there for about a week. So it was me and Vinny's mom, my sister, and she was in her senior year of high school. And then my mom and dad. And there was 2 bedrooms, so I had to share one with my sister. And then my mom and dad had the other bedroom. And I got up early on, like it was like Saturday morning or something. And I went to make some cereal, and I turned on the cartoons. And so my sister was still crashed out, and my parents were still crashed out. And we'd only been in this house maybe 5 days. So it was all new to me and stuff. The door was locked. And I heard a knock on the door. And so I didn't know if I should answer it. I'm like 7 or 8. And so I answered it. And when I opened it up, on our front walkway, there was a woman that I could see that was in a nightgown. And you could see through it. And even at 7 or 8, I knew what casabas were and stuff like that. So I was like, yes. And she's all like, can you help me? Can you help me? And I was like, what do you need? And, I'm sitting there holding my bowl of cereal, and I'm looking at this African-American lady, and she's asking me for help. And she said, I've been stabbed. And I was like, what? And she's all, I've been stabbed. And as I looked at her, I could see near her feet, there were drops of something red that were hitting there. It was bleeding. She was bleeding at that moment, and there was fresh drops of blood hitting around her feet, making a stain. And I was like, so I said, hold on, and I closed the door in her face.
One second.
And I ran to my mom and dad's room, and I knocked on the door, and of course my dad was snoring. And I was all, Dad, there's a lady at the door bleeding. And he, of course, thought I was probably having a dream. He's all, be quieter, go back to bed. And I was like, no, there's a lady that's bleeding at our door. I don't know what to do and stuff. And he's like, Jesus Christ, Derek. And he gets up and puts on his pants. And, he had those old man boxers because he was in his, like, almost 60. And because they had me late in life. And so he walks around. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? And I was like, I don't know, Dad. There's this black lady at the door, and she's bleeding. And she's asking for help. So he's thinking I'm having a wild dream or something like that. He goes and opens up the door, and sure enough, Lillian is standing there. And there's blood there on the ground. And he's all, oh, my Lord, get in here. Get inside the house. Now, what had happened is before we moved in there, since we didn't have a whole lot of money, my dad tried to make my mom feel better about moving into the neighborhoods and stuff. So he had bought a cheap love seat and couch, try to make my mom feel better, like we had something nicer in the house since we didn't have a whole lot of money. And when my dad told Lillian to come in, he said, come sit over on the couch. And my first thought, which I still feel bad about, was like, but that was Mom's new couch. She's going to get it all messed up with her blood. I was 7. I 8. I didn't know. And so he puts Lillian down on, and she's thanking my dad. He runs over. Remember, there's no 911 in Rockport. This is a small little bitty town, maybe 2,500 people. And he calls the local sheriff. They come out and they get an ambulance and some paramedics there, and they take her away. And what had happened was she was across at her house, and either her estranged husband or her husband got into an argument with her, and he proceeded to take out an ice pick and stab her numerous times in the back. And she had no phone, and she was scared. And so she knew that we were across the street, and not everybody in the neighborhood had phones. There was no house to our right, and there was a house to our left, but it was vacant, and there was no house to the left of that, and there was no house to the left of that. So literally, we were some of the only people that she saw on an everyday basis coming and going, so she thought maybe they have a phone. So she wandered across that park early in the morning to our house, not knowing if we'd even answer the door, knocked on the door for help, and we helped her. And from that time on, for the rest of the years that we lived there, I believe, another 14 years, Lillian would sit out on that porch and she would watch our house. And if anybody tried to mess with us, she'd either yell at them to get out of there, or if we were going on vacation or something, she would go ahead and say, she would figure out the car, the person, whoever, and tell them to get the hell out of there because, those are good people and stuff. So we fit in right away from day one due to the fact that the last thing my dad cared about was that damn couch. The most important thing was saving this woman's life. So that was my introduction at 7 or 8 to the new neighborhood that I ended up falling in love with, and I still love to this day. But that is the true story of Eric seeing a stabbed African-American lady in a nightgown stabbed by her husband with a ice pick in the back, and she survived.
This is a story that it happened to me. You said you were 7 or 8?
Yes.
I was about the same age, but we're also a couple decades apart.
So these are traumatic things that have happened to both of us.
Exactly.
7 or 8, it's always good to have that PTSD stamped on the head.
So his sister is my mom. That's how we know each other, by the way.
Yeah, Vinny's didn't just happen up.
Yeah, he just didn't find me on the street being like, hey, you used to do the audio for this.
Would you like to be on a podcast?
Yeah, you ran the audio the first 12 episodes. You want to come sit on the damn couch and you be in the camera this time? I was, oh, yeah. So I was 7 or 8-ish. Here in Rockport, we had a place called Cinema 35.
Which we did an earlier episode on.
We have mentioned in an earlier episode. I think it's even in a video thumbnail. Because there's a photo of...
yes?
There's a photo of my mom and her friend standing in front of Cinema 35. So when I was 7-ish years old, my mom was still finishing up her college education. So we took me to a daycare for a couple of weeks. Place was, I'm going to name them. Place was called Kids Castle with a K. Kids Castle Daycare here in Rockport, Texas. They're over in Encino Plaza. And so it was like a Friday or something. We went down. It was movie day. So we went down. It's these two very unfortunately sized women who ran Kids Castle. They each had one of those blue Chevrolet vans. So they packaged me and everybody else into those two vans, and they drove us across town to the Cinema 35. We were going to go see Oliver and Company, which was in theaters. And we went in there, and it was like, in this section where it's like taped off, it says reserved. It's like, oh yeah, that's for me. I'm going in there. So whatever. So we watch the movie, and it ends. And I'm chumming around. There's a kid there. His name is Waylon. He's the only person at the daycare that I know. He was in one of my classes at school. So I'm like, he's my default friend at this place, so I just hung around him. We're leaving. And Waylon's like, I got to go to the bathroom. So I'm like, fine. I go in the bathroom with him because I just follow him in there because he's the only guy I know. Fine. He does his business, and we come back out. Everybody's gone. The lobby of the movie theater has cleared out. And we look in the parking lot, and those vans ain't there. So those two pear-shaped women did not do a head count. They didn't notice that some of the seats weren't filled in the vans, and they just packed everybody up and drove all the way across town back to the daycare center. And there was a person, a popcorn jockey, sitting back there. And I was like, hey, did those people leave? And he was like, were you supposed to be on with those people? We were like, yeah. He's like, oh. And I don't know what he said, but he was like...
He was probably scared for you guys.
He was like, okay, well, hang on real quick. And he went and picked up the phone, and he dialed, I guess he had their number because they came by the thing every Friday.
It's such a small town.
Yeah, so he probably had their number on the piece of paper next to the phone. I don't remember what he told them. He just called them on the phone. He turned away from us and went to the phone on the wall. And then he came back to us. He was like, hey, so I let them know they're coming back, and you two can go in there and start watching the next movie. So we already saw that movie, but he said we can go back in there and just start watching it again for free. He gave us popcorn and the tiny soda, the little kid-sized soda. I just remember, as we're standing around, this is the one part of this story that sticks in my mind, is that as we tell the guy that those two ladies left us there and he goes on the phone, Waylon seems oblivious to the gravity of what is happening right now. He's just looking around like, oh, look at all the things. And he's on the wall opposite the concession stand is where they had all the coming soon and now playing posters. And I just remember he turned around and he was like, oh, look, Baby's Day Out's coming. So I was like, I knew where I was. I was like, these people just left us there. Yeah. I was like, I could, from that movie theater, I could have walked back to my own house. Yeah. You know, I knew where I was. So I don't know about Waylon. I know where Waylon lived because he was my best friend's neighbor.
It just sounds like Waylon wasn't on the same boat.
Who cares?
It's like the day they're passing out common sense, Waylon kind of took a nap. But you made it.
I made it. I lived to tell the tale multiple times because it's one of my favorite stories. Waylon, he eventually moved away. I don't know what happened to him. We didn't really
Waylon, if you're seeing this, wherever you are, with our...
Hope you're doing well, man.
Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed podcast episode 112 of The Two Old Pirates. We'll be getting this up and out to you guys real soon. So if you like stories about random women being stabbed in neighborhoods and coming to my house,
or children being left in a movie theater to watch Oliver and Company 1.5 times.
So if you like this, go ahead and share with other people, and we'll have other episodes in the future. If you have any ideas of something that you'd like to go ahead and have us talk about, go ahead and let us know. And also make sure that if you've not subscribed, click that subscribe. 90% of you are not subscribed. Every single episode, just click it. Just
click that little button and click the bell so you get notified of new uploads, and click the thumbs up.
So for the Two Old Pirates, I'm Eric.
I'm Vinny.
Peace. All right, so now I'm going to put this one.
Oh,
now,
what is that? What are the balloons?
What was that?
Who did what?
I didn't touch it.
I did not press the balloon button. I've never seen that before. I don't know what the hell that was.
What did you just do?
I didn't do anything.
I reached for this, and I look down for this, and you're look up, and I just see balloons going on. I was like...
It's like our birthday on Twitter. I don't know what the hell... I don't know. I have no idea what that was. I have used OBS for almost a decade on my show. I have never...
It almost feels like the audio knew when we said goodbye. They're like, oh, this is the end.
You said something in it. Okay.